Stalin. Role of revolutionary theory. Theory is a generalization of the experience of the workers' movement from all countries. It must be connected with revolutionary practice. Without practice, theory becomes pointless, and without theory, practice becomes blind. Lenin emphasized that without a revolutionary theory, there can be no revolutionary movement. The vanguard and advanced theory. Lenin believed that only a party guided by advanced theory could serve as the vanguard of the proletariat. Stalin argued that this position has special significance for the Communist Party due to its role in the international proletarian movement. Unity of theory and practice. Stalin reinforced the inseparability of theory and practice, quoting that workers never act without first discussing and defining their tactics. Revolutionary theory becomes a powerful weapon when it is understood and adopted by the masses. Marx's idea that theory becomes a material force once it grips the masses was central to Stalin's perspective on the importance of theory in the workers' struggle. Stalin's personal dedication to studying theory. Stalin was a diligent student of Marxism, devoting long hours to reading and making detailed notes on works such as Marx's Capital. Despite hardships, Stalin and his comrades would go to great lengths to study revolutionary theory, even copying entire volumes by hand due to the lack of access. Barriers to knowledge. Stalin faced considerable obstacles in acquiring and reading prohibited literature while studying in the Tiflis Theological Seminary. He and his comrades devised ingenious methods to smuggle and study forbidden books, illustrating their commitment to mastering Marxist theory despite the risks. Stalin's commitment to revolutionary knowledge. His revolutionary energy and persistence helped him acquire a vast and concrete understanding of Marxism-Leninism, preparing him for leading party work. Stalin believed that mastering theory was essential for the success of the proletarian movement and continually pushed comrades to overcome difficulties in studying theory. Lenin's perspective on challenges. Both Lenin and Stalin dismissed the notion that challenges should deter the revolutionary struggle. Lenin mocked those who complained about difficulties, reinforcing that difficult tasks are not impossible. Stalin encouraged facing and overcoming difficulties, emphasizing that Bolsheviks would not have succeeded if they had shied away from challenges. Theory as a guide to action. Stalin highlighted the importance of not only learning Marxist theory, but also applying it to the ever-changing conditions of the proletariat's class struggle. He believed that the Bolshevik victory in 1917 would have been impossible without the advanced cadres mastering and using Marxist theory as a guide for revolutionary action. Advancing Marxist theory requires staying updated on daily developments in all spheres of life, including science and life practice. Stalin, similar to Lenin, was diligent in keeping up with new publications, reading extensively from Russian and foreign sources. Major General G. Savchenko recalls visiting Stalin's apartment in the summer of 1938, where Stalin had a large collection of newly published books on various subjects such as textiles, leatherwork, military history, and literature. Stalin mentioned that he aimed to read 500 pages a day despite his busy schedule. He developed this habit during his time in prisons and exile. Stalin emphasized the importance of reading and encouraged others to do the same, even gifting books to his comrades. Stalin's reading habits were systematic, planned, and organized, resembling the study habits of Marx, Engels, and Lenin. Memoirs describe Stalin's disciplined routine during his time in prisons and exile. Mornings dedicated to reading scientific books and foreign languages, followed by writing proclamations and letters. Stalin shared his learning with others, recommending books he found valuable and necessary. Both Lenin and Stalin integrated theory and practice in their revolutionary work, combining theoretical writing with practical efforts like propaganda, agitation, and organizing workers. Lenin's guiding principle for revolutionary Marxists, taken from W. Liebknecht, was study, propagate, organize. He emphasized that practical action must happen alongside the development of theory, without waiting for perfect conditions. The role of socialists, according to Lenin, was to be the ideological leaders of the proletariat, which required both deep theoretical work and spreading the theory to the working class, helping them organize for revolution. Stalin followed these principles closely, carrying out extensive propaganda and organizational work across various cities, Tiflis, Batumi, Chiatura, Kutaisi, among workers and peasants. He was known for simplifying complex ideas to make them understandable to the masses. Stalin's reputation among workers was that of a beloved teacher. He engaged deeply with their personal and work lives, addressing their specific needs and linking his speeches to their lived experiences. Stalin's methods were highly interactive. In study circles, he encouraged workers to discuss questions like, "Why are we poor?" and "Why do we have no rights?" These discussions helped workers understand the nature of capitalist exploitation and political oppression under Tsarism. The teaching style of Stalin was straightforward and accessible. His conversations were remembered as simple yet effective, often using relatable examples to explain complex social and economic ideas. Both Lenin and Stalin saw the importance of aligning revolutionary theory with practical work among the masses, helping the working class understand their conditions and inspiring them to fight for their liberation. Stalin's propaganda work was methodical and thorough. He used examples from literature and other movements to illustrate his points, and workers felt enlightened by his lessons. Stalin's comparison of Mensheviks. At the funeral of A. Sulikids in 1905, Stalin likened the Mensheviks to midges circling a bright light, claiming they were unworthy of approaching it. This metaphor resonated with the peasants who remembered it decades later. Stalin's rhetorical skill. Stalin's speeches, pamphlets, and proclamations were known for their vivid imagery, making complex ideas accessible to workers and peasants. His speeches left lasting impressions on his audience. Teaching the proletariat. Like Lenin, Stalin aimed to cultivate workers into propagandists, agitators, and organizers. His method included teaching theory, recommending accessible reading, and gradually advancing workers' understanding with more complex literature. Stalin's individual attention. Stalin gave personalized attention to his students, such as helping them take notes, select reading materials, and offering his personal notes. He expected his students to work hard on themselves, modeling that with his own dedication to studying Marxist theory. Focus on preparation. Stalin insisted that propagandists thoroughly prepare for their speeches by learning from the history of workers' struggles and avoiding the repetition of past mistakes. Promotion of courageous workers. Stalin valued and promoted workers who showed fearlessness and devotion to the revolutionary cause, working closely with them to help them develop into professional revolutionaries. Learning from strikes. Stalin helped workers analyze the results of strikes to better prepare for future struggles. For example, after the 1898 strike in the main railway workshops, Stalin discussed the lessons learned in worker circles, leading to better organization during the major strike of 1900. Combating strikebreakers. Stalin was deeply familiar with workers' districts and strategically placed reliable comrades in key positions. He focused on eradicating confusion and opposition from strikebreakers within the working class. Stalin's work in prison. Even in prison, Stalin continued his propaganda efforts, organizing discussions, readings, and educational sessions with fellow prisoners. His goal was to ensure that they left prison better prepared for future revolutionary activities. Stalin's secret lectures. Stalin recalled how, even in prison, he read aloud revolutionary texts like the Communist Manifesto to other prisoners. On one occasion, a soldier guard encouraged him to continue despite the danger of being caught. Revolutionary ideological unity. The ideological unity between Marx and Engels and later Lenin and Stalin served as the foundation of the workers' movement. This deep ideological connection emphasized an unwavering commitment to revolution and the rejection of bourgeois ideology. Stalin's admiration for Lenin. Stalin's first encounter with Lenin's work left a profound impact. He regarded Lenin as not just a party leader but the creator of the party itself, whose clarity and boldness set him apart from other socialist leaders. Lenin's influence on Stalin. Stalin's early admiration for Lenin only deepened after receiving letters from Lenin that reinforced Stalin's belief in Lenin as a fearless and visionary leader. Stalin described Lenin as a mountain eagle, soaring above other party leaders in his insight and courage. Mutual respect. Stalin's admiration for Lenin was mutual, as Lenin referred to Stalin as a fiery Kolkhian, praising his revolutionary spirit and dedication. This mutual recognition strengthened their ideological partnership. Stalin's revolutionary beginnings. From the start of his revolutionary activity, Stalin, like Lenin, staunchly defended Marxism, engaging in ideological battles with anarchists, Mensheviks, and socialist revolutionaries. Caucasian workers' support. Stalin's speeches and pamphlets defending Marxist-Leninist theory were warmly received by the workers in the Caucasus, strengthening their support for Lenin. Chiatura meeting, April 1905. At an illegal meeting in Chiatura, Stalin spoke about the revolutionary movement in Georgia and the Caucasus, praising Lenin's ideas and urging workers to spread these ideas among the masses. Critique of opponents. Stalin emphasized the need to combat Mensheviks, anarchists, and federalists, identifying them as enemies of the workers and explaining how to recognize and defeat their opportunistic tactics. Stalin's theoretical work. Stalin's early writings, such as his pamphlet In Brief on Party Differences, demonstrated the importance of irreconcilable theoretical polemics, a stance strongly supported by Lenin. Impact of In Brief on Party Differences. This pamphlet armed workers in Georgia and the Caucasus with a theoretical weapon to fight their enemies. It was considered an essential tool alongside Lenin's What is to be Done. Lenin's support. Lenin praised Stalin's work through his wife, Nadezhda Krupskaya, who wrote to the Caucasian Union Committee to express Lenin's support and enthusiasm for Stalin's contributions. International significance. The struggle led by Lenin and Stalin against the theory of spontaneity in the workers' movement, preached by the Mensheviks' predecessors, had far-reaching consequences. Stalin's revolutionary dedication. Despite operating in an illegal position, Stalin tirelessly worked across the Caucasus, holding discussions and speaking against Menshevism, always carrying key Leninist texts like What is to be Done and Two Tactics of Social Democracy in the Democratic Revolution. Stalin's speeches. His speeches were marked by a calm, principled, and unwavering approach, dismantling the Mensheviks' arguments and promoting Lenin's works. Lenin's praise for Stalin's article Answer to the Social Democrat, published in the newspaper Proletariatis Brdzola, impressed Lenin, who reviewed it positively in Proletary. Lenin's review. Lenin praised Stalin's handling of the question of introducing consciousness from outside, breaking it down into 4 key parts related to class consciousness, intellectual leadership, the role of social democracy, and the proletariat's natural inclination toward socialism. Menshevik misinterpretation. Lenin pointed out the Mensheviks' misinterpretation of socialist consciousness, which they falsely claimed arose naturally from within the proletariat, instead of being introduced through social democracy. Comrade Stalin's article. The article, despite not being fully republished, demonstrates Stalin's exceptional ability to present complex philosophical questions in a simple, accessible way. Excerpts from Stalin's work, including those quoted by L. Beria, emphasize clarity and precision in conveying Marxist-Leninist ideas. Lenin's notes on Stalin's work. Lenin uses Stalin's exact words to capture the essence of his article, particularly when Stalin introduces a complex point about materialist theory. Lenin transitions from paraphrasing to directly quoting Stalin's article, highlighting the conciseness and accuracy of Stalin's presentation. Stalin's contributions. Stalin's works, such as In Brief on Party Differences and Answer to the Social Democrat, popularized and further developed Marxist-Leninist theory, particularly on the unity of labor movements and socialism. His works provided a philosophical justification for Marxist ideas and served as educational tools for workers. Stalin's clarity in explanation. Comrade Yaroslavsky praised Stalin's ability to make complex philosophical concepts accessible to the common worker. Stalin's explanations often began with simple examples, leading to deep philosophical conclusions, illustrating Lenin's principle of guiding readers from basic understanding to more profound thoughts. Example of the shoemaker. Stalin used the example of a shoemaker who lost his workshop and became a hired worker, explaining how material conditions change before ideology shifts. Even though the shoemaker's external situation has changed to that of a proletarian, his consciousness remains petty bourgeois. This demonstrates the Marxist principle that economic conditions shape human consciousness. Philosophical implications of materialism. Stalin's explanation highlights the importance of studying economic conditions to understand and develop social ideals. He rejected any ideal not grounded in the study of material conditions as bad and unacceptable. The practical takeaway for Marxists is the need for a radical reorganization of economic relations, which would, in turn, transform societal customs and consciousness. Critique of economic materialism. Stalin critiqued vulgar economic materialism, pointing out that it wrongly equates food with ideology. He emphasized that while Marx argued the economic situation determines ideology, he never claimed that food alone determines consciousness. Stalin's critique draws a distinction between physiological needs and sociological phenomena. Stalin's educational methods. The methods used by Stalin, along with the other Marxist classics, serve as models for clear and understandable presentations of complex theoretical issues. Their works guide readers in mastering Marxist-Leninist theory and applying it to practical social analysis. Studying Marxism-Leninism. Mastery of Marxist-Leninist theory requires extensive reading, continuous knowledge expansion, and the persistent application of the dialectical method. Stalin advised students to read broadly and deepen their understanding to become capable of resolving both domestic and international issues without major errors. Stalin's advice on party cadres. At the 18th Party Congress, Stalin stated that if party cadres could become fully developed Marxist-Leninists, able to navigate both domestic and international challenges, most of their questions would already be resolved. He expressed confidence that the necessary means and opportunities were available to achieve this level of ideological and political maturity.